and I didn't want to go and get a job because I thought to myself, I'm going to fail. For me, that's a brilliant industry to get into. Why would you not want to be a mechanic? I wish the support that I see now in schools was there when I was in school. I don't feel I failed at school. I feel the school failed me.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by BM Catalysts, Europe's leading manufacturer of catalytic converters, DPFs and front pipes, helping to keep vehicles running cleaner and greener. Welcome back to Garage Talk Unwrapped, the podcast with me, Vicky.
And me, Ben. In this episode, we talked to Tony Yates from Schaeffler, a very popular guy in the industry and well known. However, what most people may not know is the story behind Tony and his upbringing. For me, Victoria, this is one of the most emotional episodes we've ever done.
We're very touched that he chose to talk to us about it. And obviously, it takes a lot to talk about your past, doesn't it? When you've had trouble at school and stuff, as you'll hear. But I just, what a guy to have overcome it and to get to where he is today. And it obviously shows the passion that he's got for helping young people now.
I think also for me, I think it's the fact that the problems that Tony experienced were not unusual, but they were unknown.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. I think that's probably the... But anyway, that's enough from us.
It's a very honest conversation with Tony, which we don't want you to miss. So let's get into it.
So today we welcome industry legend, football manager legend, and apparently he's still going to be in control at the IWF football tournament coming up as well. So
that's the negotiation.
Matt, we spoke to Matt Selby. He was adamant that he was still the manager. So no stepping down for you.
Although we only come second place, I was almost demanaged out of that situation.
It is Tony Yates from Schaeffler. Good morning, Tony. How are you?
Good morning. I'm all right. Thank you. You?
Yeah,
Thanks
good time. Conference season. How excited are you?
Excited, but busy.
But busy. Yeah. Is it extra work for you on top of what you normally do?
Yeah, because my responsibilities are mainly in Europe, and obviously I get pulled back into the UK to sort of support the guys with conference. So yeah, I think it's really important. That the garages, what they come along to, the content that they see is relevant to what the vehicles that they're working on now, and also showing that obviously the support mechanisms are there from sort of Schaeffler regarding sort of what's the new stuff coming to sort of coming to the market now. How do you repair these newer type of vehicles? So getting that information together is obviously key.
2 years ago, which was the inaugural conference, you had a massive light bulb moment, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So it was the last conference, which was May 2024. We had Colin Denton come along and he was talking about apprentices and the importance of getting them into the workshop. We all know at the moment garages are struggling with staffing levels and sort of just generally in the trade across all the automotive aftermarket sector, to be honest. And what I thought after that conference, what can we do as Schaeffler, to sort of support that? Obviously, people forget. I mean, look, Schaeffler do a lot of stuff.
Massive amounts of industry. They do it for the market as well, not just for Schaeffler.
Of course, but remember, we're a parts manufacturer. We even forget that ourselves sometimes, and we do more than, we think actually we have to pinch ourselves. We're involved in all these different things. But our main business is obviously manufacturing parts, which are getting fitted by the garages. So I thought, what can we do to sort of try and give that an uplift? And I'll come up with the concept. This is the wrenches and wisdom concept. And yes. I obviously spoke to Matt and obviously the Schaeffler about this idea about sort of the wrenches being obviously the mechanics, that's what we work on, and then the sort of wisdom, learning more from the trade. So my perception was if we could get more OE suppliers and manufacturers learning and teaching the apprentices more about the products and fitting, then they would then take that into the garages, and then they will have it's a start, like a knowledge start for them, if you understand what I mean. So we then agreed to sort of work with Colin Denton. And our first actual show, we went to North London garages. We had 60 apprentices turn up for that. It was a fantastic event. We showed them information on fitting timing belt kits, clutches, wheel bearings, steering suspension components, the sort of the pitfalls of fitting those in the workshop, and obviously the positives of sort of fitting OE equipment and the sort of the ease of that. And then it sort of grew from there really, and we started to create videos and we started to talk more and more. Then we started to go to colleges with the wrenches wisdom concept, and we we've made a problem for ourselves now that everyone wants us to come along. All the colleges want us to come along. We have garages asking us to come along to sort of if we can teach their apprentices sort of the basics of sort of knowledge around sort of fitting components. I think it's really important. So my initial idea of that, and I wanted it to grow, and it's been a couple of years now, and it's been doing really well. And now I know this industry quite well. Any new ideas or any new things do take a couple of seem to take a couple of years to come around. And I think now a lot of other sort of suppliers and have started to pick this idea up now, and they're also promoting about students and sort of getting the apprentices into the workshop. And there's we have a couple of garages that have done this exact thing. So Markham's garage, he actually took on 2 apprentices based on our Wrenches of Wisdom program because he thought it was such a great idea. And obviously I know Dean Lomas as well, DC Lomas, he's taken on some apprentices and a few others. And, so that's where it started really.
We've met the one at Markham's, haven't we? He's a brilliant lad. He's in the 30 under 30 and he was very impressive.
Simon's great, isn't he, Simon Powney?
He was better in front of the camera than Simon. But this is, I mean, it was groundbreaking at the time, wasn't it? So what made you step out of your comfort zone, or outside the industry's comfort zone, Tony?
I think this one's quite personal to me. I think sort of I struggled at school. I was picked on quite a lot because I was sort of a geek really. I still am today. Computers is my thing, digital is obviously my thing, and that's where I sit.
It's led you to a good position.
Yeah. So I was picked on quite a lot when I was a kid at school, and I didn't really have that many friends. And when I come out of school, I sort of struggled with that sort of alignment. My dad had a garage, and I wanted to go and work at his garage, which I did. But I didn't, my confidence was so knocked at college. And I know, and I speak to students at colleges now that sort of, they say to me, I want to go and work in a garage, but I'm not being given an opportunity because my confidence levels are quite low.
Yeah.
And obviously the fast-paced environment in garages now, everything's got to be done. There's a time limit to everything. And I think that puts additional pressure on an apprentice or a student coming out of college, even on their final year. And that's how I felt. And I didn't want to go and get a job because I thought to myself, I'm going to fail straight away. And again, I had to turn my fortunes on that. So for myself, so I worked alongside my dad for many years, sort of just in the background.
Was that because it was a comfort zone?
I think so, yeah, because I didn't really want to push myself that hard. But actually, eventually, like everyone, as you get older, as you become more and more of an adult, you realise that actually you need to make changes for sort of for the better. But I think until I got over that sort of that hard time that I had at school and realised that actually I am important to this system somewhere, that there must be a place for me here somewhere that I can fit in. And I think a lot of students now that I talk to are in a similar boat. The bullying is obviously at school is a lot better than when I was in school in the 80s. Obviously, there was nothing in place back then, so sort of what's in place now at schools. And obviously, my own children are in secondary school, so I can see the difference between how that's managed to how it was when I was at school. And I think it's really important to know that they've got that sort of that mechanism in place now. But what I would like to see, really, from my side, is more garages giving opportunities for apprentices, because there's some really good. I've spoken to a lot of students, and they're properly clued up. They might watch YouTube or TikTok or Instagram all day, and guys repairing cars, but actually they're remembering this, and those are the ones really that I think are key to sort of, if you can get the right apprentice in your workshop, I think they can definitely benefit you 100%. So
what do you think's the main thing holding garages back from taking on an apprentice?
I think it is that giving them the time to sort of teach them. I think they all struggle with time. We all know how busy workshops are. So yeah, I purely think it's just down to that. And obviously we do hear from garages that have taken on apprentices, and they've said actually they've come for a few months, they've realised it's not for them, and then they've gone off, and obviously a garage has invested time into that, and that's sort of where, and they obviously feel like, okay, I don't really want to take another one on because I've just been left basically, and I've actually invested time into them. But like I've said, you know, when I first left school, I really didn't know what I wanted, and I went into a job and you're like, no, this is not really for me. And I think it's a process, like most kids nowadays. Of course, we all know every kid that comes out of school now wants to be a YouTube sensation and a TikTok sensation.
Because it's so easy.
Yeah, because it's so easy. Yeah, but you know, back to hard labour and back to graft.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that's sort of where it is. And look, I was no different. And I think, I think garages are now starting to see that it is sort of investing the time in that student or that apprentice now will benefit them in years to come.
So what success stories have you had, Tony? Because obviously you've put a lot of your own heart and soul into this. What success stories have you seen so far from the series you produced?
I mean, again, like Markham's Garage, they've taken students on, they're really good. There's Tyneside Autos as well, up north. They've also taken on a student, again, another young lad from college, and he's really bright, he's really switched on, you know, and that's sort of what you want in those individuals. We've also, there's also Wiseman Garage Services.
Yeah, Matt Wiseman.
Yeah. Again, he took on a female mechanic, and yeah, she's doing really well. You know, Matt's a really, really successful garage, and Matt does really well. You know, and he's the perfect. I think I remember saying to him, I think Matt's the perfect candidate to sort of drive an apprentice forward and sort of give them the inspiration, because Matt's been there himself. I think Matt started as a mobile mechanic. I think himself. Yeah. You know, a lot of the garages out there, I speak to garages all the time, and they're like saying, "Oh, well, I'm a mobile mechanic and I can't take anybody. I can't take an apprentice on." Actually, you can. Yeah. You know, if you can find the time to do it. But like I've said, everyone's so busy all the time. You know, it's sort of, and they're probably thinking, how am I going to be able to manage an extra person in the workshop and be able to train them? And this is where I think the OE suppliers like ourselves, like Schaeffler, can come along and do that sort of that event, you know, and do that initial training with them.
Are you tired of chasing car parts over the phone? PartSync connects trade buyers with trusted suppliers in one platform. No calls, no delays, just parts. Get real choice, new, used or genuine OEM. Compare brands, warranty, price and delivery. Suppliers, connect with active trade buyers ready to buy your stock. PartSync, bringing the parts industry together. Book your demo at partsync.co.uk.
Hi everyone, Shep
and Sean
from Laser Tools here. You probably know us for our specialist tools.
You know, the ones you use for all those big jobs.
But here's the thing. We do all the everyday tools too. Spanners, sockets, ratchets, you name it, we've got it.
And they're all built to the same high standard as our specialist tools. Oh, and it's our 50th birthday this year, Shep.
Yeah, so we must be doing something right then. To see our full range, head over to lasertools.co.uk.
Now, for obviously there's a lot of success stories, and as always in employment, there'll be stories that hasn't worked. Yeah. What do you say to people that say it hasn't worked or wouldn't do it again?
I'd just say do it again. You just you know, I think the individual themselves realise it's probably not for them.
Yeah.
They know they want to work on cars, but then the reality kicks in. Actually, it's not for any. Look, we have to think about this trade. I see this trade as it is a specialist trade, like anything, like a plumber, like a gas fitter. You know, we're moving away from that sort of. We all know how people see mechanics. You know, and actually, it's a really, really important trade. And I think, like I said, the student or the apprentice, the reality kicks in. It's maybe not for them, and then they sort of walk away. But the next one in the door might be different.
Yeah, so it's like any employment, isn't it? I think
it's like recruiting any kind of role, isn't it? Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but sometimes it's a great success.
Well, we went to Shrewsbury College recently, and the amount of students, they had a garage set up. They got lots of industry support, and when they set it up, they had 30 students. Because of setting up this garage now, they've got 100.
Wow.
So it's stories like that encourage these apprentices and people, the students into the industry, isn't it? And obviously that's, that kind of, I think what a lot of people don't understand is that when you're putting anything out there, social or YouTube, it's promoting the whole industry, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We went to, just the end of last year, October last year, we went to Williams Garage. Peter Wilden, he supported us with obviously Wrenches and Wisdom. He got 2 colleges come along, 60 apprentices. These were all level 2, level 3 apprentices. They were 100% focused that day on learning what we had to sort of present to them. I've never seen a room so focused, to be honest. So the level 1 apprentices, obviously it's really new to them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So everything's fresh. And so you go that little bit later, like say that level 2, level 3 apprentice, they're already invested now. If they've got to that point, they're already invested. So, those at that level, they're learning all the time. They're taking it in. Their brains are like sponges now. They're just soaking all the information in. And that was a really, really good day and well worth doing. And we're actually going back again this year.
Brilliant.
We're going back to North London garages.
Well, why wouldn't you go back with Colin? I mean,
No,
it must be an enjoyable day down there.
Yeah, and we've done some double clutch training with the RAC students, the RAC apprentices as well. Those are the apprentices that are already out there fixing people's cars on the side of the road, sort of, the ones that are broken down. So
you went through a tough time, you said, as a child. What do you think the difference is these days?
I think there's a lot more. I wish the support that I see now in schools was there when I was in school, because it was almost ignored. I couldn't go into school. Before I even got into school, I was harassed before I even got in the door by individuals taking my bag off me, emptying my bag out, taking my lunch money, emptying my lunch box, and generally just having a go at me. Whereas nowadays that just does not happen. Of course, it happens in patches, I would imagine, and it still goes on. But there's systems in place for dealing with that. And I think I wish. I wish. I don't feel I failed at school. I feel the school failed me.
Yeah.
At school, there's a big difference.
Sounds like it.
So,
doesn't it? But you wouldn't be where you are, and I'm a great believer of this. You wouldn't be where you are today without all that going on. It's strange, isn't it? Because you've had to go through that.
It does shape you, but yeah.
And you're a massive part of this industry. Everybody knows you. You're a great influence. People know what you're doing. And it's strange. It's a pity you've had to go through all that, but you wouldn't be doing what you're doing today without all that. It's
in fact, if anything, that when my brain actually clicked over that, actually, this is not how I want to live my life. Things changed up for me then, and obviously went differently. So I went to work for government in digital, and then I obviously sort of come out of that after many years, and then first job, Schaeffler, and I've just gone on from there. Like a lot of the concepts and the things that are happening at Schaeffler now, I've had a big influence on. We have a great marketing team that I obviously work with. I'm part of marketing. We have a great sales team, and obviously we have a great senior management team as well, which sort of support us on our what I was classed as crazy ideas, sort of,
Well, we spoke to Matt today while we're here, and it's almost like you're part of a big European business, a worldwide business, but the actual influence from the UK and the creativity you've got and are allowed, it's unusual, isn't it, for such a business?
It is. I think every country is different. Obviously, I am part of a global sort of, especially when it comes to the social part, I'm part of a global sort of, we're under this global umbrella.
Yeah.
So when I look at campaigns and stuff, I do the sort of the global campaigns, but my heart is sort of the local campaigns, because I know the UK. Do you know what I mean? So I can talk about, I know Italy and Spain and Poland and all these, what's going on socially on those channels, but sort of UK is where my key sort of I use the word interest, but where my sort of key knowledge would be, obviously my own country. So
obviously you have grown this from pain in the past, but of course that only gets you so far. You've now got to keep reinventing the wheel. You've started this thing, and I don't think you realised how big it would become and how popular it would become. Yeah. What's the next steps, Tony? How do you keep on developing? Don't shake your head.
It's obviously my capacity is getting less and less all the time. Sort of for me, what I would like to see is more OE suppliers doing this similar thing themselves, going out there and training the apprentices and the students on the products that they sort of manufacture, and showing them how to fit it right or how it should be fit, you know, and then obviously going on from there and sort of doing what we do really, going out to the garages, visiting the colleges, giving the extra support. And I've obviously emphasised a lot on apprentices now, but not just apprentices, garages themselves as well. There's technicians out there that don't have this key double clutch knowledge. So it isn't just 100% focus on that, because we go to garages and yes, they've got an apprentice there, but we're also showing the text as well, the information, and they're you know, they don't get this from the sort of the day-to-day sort of training that they get. Obviously, we know they're a vehicle technician, but having this inside knowledge is also really key. So again, my next level really is sort of just reminding the garages, when Schaeffler's not just about apprentices, we're also here for you too. So if you want us to come along and if you've got a garage full of 6 technicians and you want us to train you on double clutch, there's no problem. The only problem we have is limitation of how much we can do.
And there's no better place than the conference that's up and coming?
Of course, yeah. Conference, of course, 14th of May. Be there or be square.
no, that's old school.
That's on the official poster.
Yeah.
Why do you do your own conference? Because there's obviously a lot of industry conferences and a lot of industry shows and things, but you've really gone out on your own on this. It's obviously important to you, but why is it important? What does it bring Schaeffler, and what does it bring the whole industry?
I think... there's a few questions there. I'll try to get it all in one. I think conference is important for us because it's just us, and obviously we support a lot of other conferences out there. We do a lot of things with, but we wanted something for us that sort of our members, our Rep Excellent members, can come along and feel a little bit more
special.
A little bit more special. And we do special training events. We have a forum, and I know there's lots of other sort of conferences out there that do a similar format. And we're not stealing that in any way or shape or form, but it obviously works for that particular reason. So just down to that really, and we feel that we can give a lot more back. So what we're saying is, if you've got a garage and you're a mechanic, come along, because you don't have to be a Rep Expert member to come along to that. No. You know, it's just opening the doors to the wider audience, really. Yeah.
I mean, we've had to limit our time to go into, because there's so many in the industry.
So many
events, conferences, awards. But one we wouldn't miss is the Schaeffler conference, because 2 years ago for us, it was a massive learning curve. Vicky came, it was the first ever conference in the industry. And you were amazed, weren't you, by the
You couldn't drag me away from listening to the panels.
I'll be honest, it was a massive learning curve for us too, because we'd never done, we'd supported at shows that everybody else has organised, so we just come along, we got our toolboxes out, sort of, and now we've got sort of our own conference, and we've started somewhere now, we've sort of, that's it, and that's going to have to be sort of like, an ongoing theme.
But the stuff we still now talk about 2 years later from that conference, there's Quinton. Who made figures interesting, which isn't easy to do because there's so many people out there doing that. But I mean, he came and seen us last week, and he's an amazing guy. But you got him in, and he was doing figures, and people were you could just look at you could cut the atmosphere. It was just, they were just engrossed in it, and then you had the famous EV discussion panel with again, but you got people in that had contravening opinions of it.
Yes.
But it was very respectful, and people listened to what each other said, and but people then went away and talked about it and said they either sat on one side or the other, and were like, oh, I'm going to go with EVs or I'm not. And I actually think what your conference did was bring investment. Garage invested in EVs. I mean, we went down to Tim's, and Tim Benson Oldfields, and he was on that panel and things like that, and his investment in EV, it only comes from discussions like that, doesn't it? So why are you so open? Why are you so, there's no kind of corporate, it's got to be like this. It's like, right, go for it. Just discuss the whole industry. Why does that come across, Tony?
I'm not sure. I think, look, maybe it's conversations people don't want to have. I don't know.
Yeah,
and then it sort of opens it up. I mean, we have a forum again this year, sort of, and we have some good people on the panel. Again, those discussions that nobody really wants to have, quite open and quite sort of okay in your face, and like, we need to be having these conversations. That's how the business runs. In a typical marketing meeting at Schaeffler, we talk about conversations that we don't really want to have, but they have to happen if you want to grow your business, of course. And I think it's the same in the automotive aftermarket, and again, like I said, we've reintroduced a sort of a forum. We have some keynotes coming along. We have a few stars, Fuzz Townsend coming along and all the rest.
Fuzz, Fuzz is a friend of the channel.
Yeah, of course. But again, it's not about that. It's about, for me, the garages come along and you network with each other. And what I did see at conference last time was lots of garages that come back to us after and said, it was great that I spoke to, for example, ABC Garage, because he does lots of work on Land Rovers, and I was a bit scared of taking that stuff on. But actually, after I've spoken to him, he says, no, it's fine. And so I'm going to take more. It's those conversations go on, really, which is what we want.
When quality matters and emissions count, demand precision. BM Catalyst is Europe's leading manufacturer of aftermarket hot-end emissions products. From catalytic converters and OE-level components to expert technical training available on Garage Pro, BM delivers best-in-class manufacturing, rigorous performance, and full compliance. Need parts you can trust? Visit bmcats.com. Partner with BM. Drive profit, exceed expectations.
Calling all garage owners, technicians and aftermarket professionals. Don't miss the Schaeffler Rep Expert Conference on Thursday 14th of May at the British Motor Museum in Warwickshire. A day packed with insight, innovation and industry inspiration. Hear from top experts in the Garage Forum, including Tim Guidotti, aka The Fleet Guy, Simon Palmy, Tom Cockings, Peter Wilden and Andy Wells, sharing real-world experience and practical ideas you can use in your workshop. Plus, breakfast, lunch, goodie bags and a chance to win great prizes. Secure your ticket today. Link at garagetalkonline.co.uk/news/rep expert. All proceeds to go to Ben, the automotive charity.
How much of the past is influencing what you're trying to do? Because we've spoken about what you're trying to do through your video series, but through the conference as well now. Let's open conversation. Let's have a chat. If you'd have had that when you were at school, how much would it have, shaped your future differently?
I think a lot, to be honest, if we'd have had that when I was at school. But we didn't. So you left school at 16 and you was out on your own. There was no, even colleges, there was not much support there. From that sort of, you either went and found it yourself or you had nothing, basically. So, but nowadays, and obviously my own son's about to start sort of college as a mechanic. I have to say, level 1, so because that's what he wants to do.
Look at the pride, the small man in Tony's face. It's brilliant.
Exactly, sort of, because for me, that's a brilliant industry to get into. Why would you not want to be a mechanic? Why is that any different to being a plumber or a sparky or a solicitor? As far, it's a professional. It's a profession, and it should be that way.
We've spoken to some mechanics who say they are kind of all of those trades in one these days with the work they have to do on cars. So it's not just picking one. It's it's way more.
You need to be a computer genius.
Yeah, which you are.
Yeah, you need to be an electrician, like you say, and everything in one.
Well, we can see how emotional it's been for you this morning, and all I can say personally is that you're an inspiration, and telling these stories, it's going to help. And
thank you for sharing your stories.
Because we can see how difficult it is to share your past. But I think the message for me to colleges and schools are listen to people like Tony, get Tony in to talk to the students, because it will inspire people into this industry. Because there's many
people react to stories, though, don't they?
They do, and there's many people out there that would have either gone through what you've gone through. So it doesn't have to be school kids as well. But it could also, be people that are going through it. But come to the conference. I mean, Laser Tools are giving 50 tickets away to students, aren't they?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's good.
Come to conference. If you're in the industry in any way, shape, or form, you're struggling. I know we've got Ben, industry charity. Come talk to Tony. He tells you the story. He's an honest guy, and he's always approachable. So I think for me, you might start a new series, inspirational stories.
I think it's really, again, I think it's important that people that have had a sort of, it wasn't so great for them back in the day. It's obviously hard for me to talk about that, and I've obviously opened up with you today, and I've thought about it sort of for many years. Actually, do I want to share how tough it was for me? It's still painful, but not painful in a way that it stops me doing what I want to do. In fact, painful in a way that I think, you know what, that's how it used to be, but not anymore.
Don't let the bullies win.
No, not at all.
So how do people get involved with the Wrenches and Wisdom? How do they contact through the website?
I mean, they can speak to any of the sort of, they can go to the website, they can email info@repexpert.co.uk if you're a college or you're an apprentice and you just want to say where can I get, how can I get involved? I'll obviously say come to conference. You can speak to any of our territory managers, and sort of, and if you're a garage and you've got 6 technicians and you want to learn more about double clutch training, we are introducing double clutch training again this year. But again, the info@repexpert.co.uk is the perfect way to email us and say, look, is there anything you can help us with? So,
and if you're away for the conference, May the 14th, feel free to come to the Orphans on May the 21st to see Tony in his manager's role at the football, because Matt has confirmed his appointment. Really. Tony, as I say, you're an inspiration to the industry. Please keep going, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, I don't think I'll look at Tony in the same way. I just think,
Yeah, so much respect for him.
Yeah.
I think it's, people...
I mean, we had respect for him before. Let's just make that clear.
Yeah, obviously. But respect for him for opening up about it. And like I say, channeling his experience into now wanting to help younger people getting into the aftermarket, which, as he said, is a great place to be. And why shouldn't being mechanic or technician be a career choice?
An amazing guy. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in a couple of weeks, really. Now we've released this, and I think when we see him at the 5-a-side in a couple of weeks, I think we'll be able to put our arm around him and go, it's good, mate, brilliant. Congratulations to you. And of course, when we do see him at the football, he'll be manager. So,
but will he? It was still undecided when we spoke to him. I think he'll be there in his manager t-shirt again.
Yeah, he will do. But that's his character. We need more of that, Tony. Be the character you are.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We will back you from the Garage Talk. Anyway, that's all for this episode. A huge thank you to Tony again. And you can find out more about Wrenches and Wisdom at repexpert.co.uk/wrenches-and-wisdom.
That's a challenge for you. And of course, another thank you to BM Catalyst for being this episode's sponsor, the UK and Europe's leading manufacturer of catalytic converters, DPFs and front pipes. And of course, recent Car SOS stars. You can find out more at bmcats.com.
Finally, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to follow Garage Talk Unwrapped on your favourite podcast platform and hit the bell so you never miss a new episode.
Next time, we'll be talking to Joe Knowles, Event Director of Automechanica UK, and of course, UK Garage and Body Shop event, which is on 3rd and 4th of June at the NEC.
Throw a shrimp on the barbie.
I'm sure she'll appreciate that.
Our Aussie friend, I haven't done it justice, have I?
No, so Joe's going to be telling us about what's on at UK Garage and Body Shop, what's new this year compared to 2 years ago, and why you should be getting yourselves over there.
Well, mainly because we're there.
Absolutely. That does help.
Right, I think that'll do for today.
Okay.
An amazing podcast.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you for hosting it as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, all.
Bye.